Hi, this is Jill Wynns, the president of CSBA. I'm here today on the Capitol lawn, and we were here in Sacramento today for the Ed Coalition meeting. And today was the day that the governor announced the trigger cuts. And he announced that both triggers will be pulled, but the second trigger, the one that affects K-12, will only be partially pulled. So there will be $248 million of cuts to transportation. That wipes out home-to-school transportation, as we all feared, and an additional $79 million cut to the revenue limit. Altogether, about $330 million. Actually less than we were worried about, but still a cut that we cannot sustain and that we will fight as hard as we can. The good news is that all our coalition partners, that's the labor and management representatives, are all on board in trying to fight these trigger cuts. We've told everybody, including members of the press here today, that schools simply can't sustain any more cuts, that there isn't anything left to cut, and that in particular, the transportation cut falls disproportionately on small school districts, and that's something that just isn't fair and is not sustainable. That small school districts who have to carry all their students to school on buses simply won't have any students, and they do not have big enough budgets to backfill that transportation funding from their general fund. So the news is, some bad, some good, or maybe bad and not as bad as it could have been, but also we are going to have to join together with our coalition partners, with our communities, and continue to tell the governor and the members of the legislature that schools in California simply cannot sustain these cuts. We did hear from a number of reporters, well, are you going to now go out and try to negotiate a shorter school year for the current year? We think it might be, something between half a day and a full day that we would need to cut, something that couldn't really be cut and that also is kind of hard to negotiate, and I don't think that negotiations are going to get us there anyway. We figure that if these cuts, this $330 million, were equally divided on an ADA basis, it would be about $55 per student. So we all, as we know what we're going to have to do, this is going to just shoot a bigger hole in our budgets for next year. We'll have more cuts to make next year. So we're asking everybody, all of you, to do the work that you always do so well and help us, join us in fighting these cuts.